Top 10 stones with natural patterns so perfect, they defy logic. The closer we look at the earth, the less it behaves like accident, and the more it feels like intention. From molten rock to silent crystal, nature has written patterns that no human mind could design. Spirals precise as algorithms, lattices identical to architecture, colors arranged with the logic of a dream. For centuries, we believed beauty belonged to artists, that order required intellect, until the stones began to speak. These are not carvings, not paintings, not codes, but the earth's own handwriting. They appear engineered, yet they formed through chaos, heat, and time. Some were mistaken for relics of lost civilizations. Others were worshipped, feared, or sold for fortunes. Each one is a paradox, proof that perfection does not need a designer. It only needs patience. Tonight we descend through magma, oceans, and memory to uncover 10 stones whose patterns are so impossibly exact, they defy everything we thought we knew about nature. This is the countdown to the moments when the earth thought like an artist. Ranked 10th, ocean jasper. It looks hand-painted, but no brush ever touched it. Along Madagascar's tidal cliffs, circles bloom inside solid rock like coral fossilized mid-breath. This is ocean jasper, where pattern first learns to live. Ocean jasper forms inside ancient gas bubbles trapped in rhyolitic lava. As silica-rich fluids cooled and crystallized, rhythmic pulses of chalcedony and quartz deposited in concentric layers. Each ring recording a moment in Earth's pulse. Green, pink, white, and gold bands flow like tides, creating the illusion of coral, but every petal is a record of pressure, temperature, and time. No two orbs ever repeat. Nature here acts not as sculptor, but as mathematician, balancing chemistry with chaos. When it was rediscovered in 1999 after vanishing from records for nearly a century, villagers in Maravato called it the smiling stone. Its circular eyes seemed alive, watching the sea that birthed them. Collectors compared it to stained glass. Scientists called it orbicular jasper, but locals simply said it carried the tide's memory. For a culture that lives between ocean and jungle, ocean jasper became a symbol of harmony, the meeting of land and water, motion and stillness. Across spiritual markets and New Age circles, ocean jasper is said to store calm. Healers use it as a balancing stone, claiming its orbs represent breath cycles. Inhale, exhale, restore. In museum spaces, it is displayed not for mysticism, but for awe, the mind's moment of disbelief that such symmetry could exist without design. Whether as talisman or exhibit, it serves the same function: to still the observer. Its rarity is not myth. Ocean jasper is found only along a single stretch of Madagascar's northwestern coast, accessible only at low tide by boat. Mining pauses when the tide rises. Each vein disappears into the sea, never repeating. As supply wanes, polished slabs and spheres command premium prices in gem fairs across Tucson, Munich, and Hong Kong. Yet its true market value lies in its narrative, the proof that beauty can emerge not from human creation, but from geological patience. So the story begins, not with fire or violence, but with rhythm. The Earth's first painter was pressure, its first brushstroke, a tide beneath stone. Ranked 9th, crazy lace agate. No artist could repeat these loops twice, yet the desert did, flawlessly. Hidden in the limestones of northern Mexico, quartz threads itself into lace. This is crazy lace agate, geometry made by chaos. Crazy lace agate formed inside limestone cavities millions of years ago, where silica-rich waters seeped through microscopic veins. Layer after layer of chalcedony crystallized in rhythmic succession, each new deposit tracing the contours of the last like a disciplined artisan following a design unseen. Iron and aluminum oxides painted the palette, rust reds, creams, honey yellows, until chaos appeared to organize itself. The result, filigree so precise that even electron microscopes reveal no flaw in alignment. It is order born from turbulence, perfection without blueprint. When Spanish explorers first encountered the stone in Chihuahua, they mistook it for man-made ornament. Locals already wore it in amulets, believing the laughter lines captured joy. Over centuries, it earned the nickname Stone of Laughter, not because it amuses, but because its spirals mirror life's unpredictability. In Mexican folk art, its patterns were thought to represent the dance of balance, every misstep corrected by beauty. Even now, artisans carve it into cameos and talismans, letting the natural lace dictate the design, never the other way around. To modern energy healers, crazy lace agate is said to anchor light and motion, a guardian against confusion. But in older rituals of the Sierra Tarahumara tribes, polished slices were placed in water basins under moonlight, reflecting patterns as messages from the sky. Whether or not those reflections spoke, they offered something rarer: stillness inside intricacy, meditation through repetition. Each loop becomes a breath cycle, each curve a reminder that chaos can be symmetrical if you wait long enough. Though not rare by chemical definition, gem-grade crazy lace agate is scarce in pattern perfection. Veins yielding full concentric lace are mined from narrow bands in Chihuahua, often only a few centimeters thick, high-contrast specimens. Those with crisp linework and multicolor rhythm can fetch hundreds of dollars per cabochon. Yet collectors prize not size but symmetry. Dealers describe the best pieces as paintings made without a painter. In a world of artificial design, this stone still humbles technology. Every cut reveals a precision that no machine can improve. Crazy lace agate reminds us that perfection is not mechanical. It is patient, a million years of movement distilled into stillness. A desert that once danced, now immortalized in lace. Ranked 8th, petrified palm wood. These dots aren't carved. They once carried sap through living trees. 50 million years later, their grain still holds the memory of flow. This is petrified palm wood, the pattern of life that refused to die, whispers the architecture of life that ended 50 million years ago. Petrified palm wood forms when ancient palms are buried under sediment and flooded by silica-rich groundwater. Over epochs, each organic cell is replaced by chalcedony, jasper, or quartz. But the original pattern, the vascular design of the palm, remains intact. Under magnification, the surface reveals perfect elliptical dots and streaks, cross-sections of vascular bundles that once carried sap. They look engineered, grids of precision biology frozen into stone. In truth, they are the Earth's earliest lesson in biological geometry. Repetition guided by survival, symmetry born from function. Indigenous tribes of the Gulf Coast revered these fossilized woods as stones of the ancestors. To them, each piece held memory, not of an individual, but of the world itself before memory existed. When settlers later discovered them in riverbeds, they were mistaken for crafted artifacts, the dotted grain resembling beadwork or textile. Even today, lapidarists call the polished cross-sections nature's mosaics. The fascination has never faded. How can something so old, so altered, still retain pattern as if it were made yesterday? In metaphysical traditions, petrified wood represents endurance. It is placed in temples or homes as a guardian of continuity, bridging the living and the ancient. Some spiritual interpreters say its dots mark breaths of the earth, each one a pulse of evolution frozen mid-beat. Whether one believes in that or not, the sensation is undeniable. To hold a polished palm slab is to hold design that has outlived extinction. It is patience materialized. Though found across multiple fossil forests, the finest specimens emerge from Louisiana and Texas, their surfaces displaying a flawless matrix of brown, tan, and cream, dotted like woven fabric, collectors' prize slices, with even distribution and high silica content, as translucency enhances contrast. Museum-grade examples are rare, not for scarcity of stone, but for clarity of pattern. The kind that looks deliberate. Prices range from a few dollars to thousands, depending on pattern fidelity and color preservation. Yet its true worth is metaphysical. It proves that life's design can outlast life itself. In a world chasing new perfection, this stone reminds us of old perfection. How order was already written in the trunks of trees before humanity learned to draw lines. Its logic is ancient, its precision inherited, a legacy not carved but remembered. Ranked 7th, Maligano jasper. What looks like a landscape painting was born from volcanic ash. Sulawesi's shattered stones hide entire horizons inside them. This is Maligano jasper. Where destruction reveals design, Maligano jasper forms in brecciated volcanic rock, meaning it was born through destruction. When lava cooled and fractured, silica-rich fluids seeped into the cracks, cementing them with layers of chalcedony, hematite, and opalized quartz. Over time, these minerals filled fissures like brushstrokes, painting miniature scenes of valleys, mountains, and clouds. Each pattern is an accident recorded with precision, chaos finding symmetry. The result is so pictorial that even trained geologists must remind themselves. No pigment, no brush, no intention, only temperature, chemistry, and time. Discovered only recently in the remote village of Sulawesi's Central Highlands, Maligano jasper became an instant fascination among collectors and lapidaries. Locals call it batu lukisan, the painting stone. To them, its beauty lies not just in its imagery, but in the humility of its origin. Born from eruption, polished from ruin. Many believe it carries the island's dual nature, volcanic destruction and rainforest rebirth, captured in a single pattern. For Indonesia, a land of both creation and collapse, it feels like a mirror. Beyond its geological marvel, Maligano jasper has entered modern ritual culture as a stone of revelation, used by artists, writers, and healers who seek inspiration from chaos. Its fractured veins symbolize the creative process: break, fill, restore. It reminds its keepers that beauty often emerges where things once fell apart. Museums display it beside abstract art not as ornament, but as evidence that nature paints with precision, but never repeats. Because Maligano jasper is found in limited deposits, each new vein offers a palette unique to its depth. Stones with dramatic landscape compositions, resembling mountain ranges, coral skies, or burning horizons, are the most prized high-grade specimens, command strong prices in Tucson and Munich gem fairs. Not because of rarity alone, but because each one tells a story that can't be replicated. Artificial copies fail. The randomness is too intelligent to fake. In a world where algorithms generate infinite imitation, this stone reminds us that the truest art is unrepeatable. Maligano jasper is revelation embodied, a secret the earth painted in silence, waiting millennia for human eyes to notice its logic is impossible. A volcano's scar that learned to dream in color. Ranked 6th, Boulder opal. Fire and stone were never meant to coexist, yet here they hold each other. In the iron plains of Queensland, lightning lives trapped inside rock. This is Boulder opal, beauty forged through resistance. Boulder opal is born from stress. When silica-rich waters percolate through cracks in ironstone, they deposit microscopic spheres of silica gel that harden into opal. But unlike pure opals, Boulder opal never separates from its host. It grows within the rock, inseparable, unpredictable, alive in resistance. Under light, thin seams ignite like lightning bolts trapped underground. Each pattern is a record of struggle, pressure versus fracture, water versus mineral. Its iridescence, play of color, is not surface decoration, but optical interference at the nanoscale, where order and chaos blur into light. For Aboriginal communities, these fiery veins symbolize dreamtime lightning, ancestral fire captured by the earth to remind humans that creation requires tension. They saw in its colors the same paradox as life itself: fragility glowing inside endurance. European miners of the 19th century found it baffling, too unpredictable to mine consistently, too stunning to ignore. They named it Boulder because it refused to leave the stone that made it. No other opal behaves this way. It doesn't want freedom, it wants fusion. In modern symbolism, Boulder opal has become the gem of authenticity, beauty that survives confinement. Jewelers rarely cut it free. They carve around the ironstone, letting earth and fire remain entwined. Healers say it balances the fire element within the body, though its truer ritual lies in observation. To witness it is to understand balance, tension that never resolves yet never breaks. Boulder opal is mined primarily in Queensland's Winton, Quilpie, and Yoa fields. Each deposit yields wildly different color plays: electric green rivers, violet embers, or mirrored galaxies. Because each vein is unique and inseparable from its host, cutters must read the rock like a map. There are no templates, no guarantees. Prices vary from hundreds to tens of thousands per carat, depending on brilliance and continuity of color. Yet even the smallest specimen commands reverence. A reminder that beauty here is not peace, but endurance under pressure. Boulder opal defies logic by surviving its own contradiction. Light that cannot escape, stone that refuses to let go. It is the geometry of resistance. Proof that tension, when held in balance, becomes art. Ranked 5th, Septarian nodule. They call them dragon eggs, cracked shells of a planet still cooling. When split open, lightning patterns bloom where no life ever grew. This is Septarian nodule, the Earth's impossible embryo. Septarian nodules began their story over 60 million years ago, when shallow seas covered what is now the American West organic mud, rich with decaying shells and plankton, settled into the seabed. As the sediment hardened, pockets of gas formed within, creating spherical cavities. Over millennia, mineral-rich waters infiltrated those voids, depositing calcite and aragonite in branching veins that spread like lightning through mudstone. Then when the ocean receded, the nodules cracked from shrinkage and heat. The fractures later refilled with crystal. The result, a perfect contradiction, chaos organized into symmetry. To early settlers, these stones looked alive. Their patterns resembled turtle shells, dragon eggs, even maps of unknown worlds. The name Septarian comes from septum, Latin for partition, describing the internal divisions that radiate like a sacred diagram. Some ancient cultures believed them to be remnants of mythical beasts, petrified mid-birth. Others called them concretion eggs, the Earth's own offspring, sealed in time. Even modern scientists still debate aspects of their formation because every nodule tells a slightly different version of the same impossible story. In modern metaphysical lore, Septarian is known as the Dragonstone. It is said to unite fire and earth energies, protection, grounding, transformation. But its real ritual is older. Curiosity. Every collector who cracks one open reenacts the original act of discovery, splitting the unknown to reveal pattern where none was expected. It's the same impulse that drives art, science, and faith. The urge to see inside the mystery. Found in Utah, Madagascar, and parts of England, Septarian nodules are now highly sought for their distinctive fractures. Cut and polished, they resemble aerial photographs of river deltas or neural maps. Museums display large halves as geological mandalas, while gem dealers sell smaller slices for meditation or decor. Yet no price can standardize their value. Each one is a fingerprint of ancient chemistry. What collectors truly buy is anomalous order, proof that even mistakes in nature follow rules too subtle for us to grasp. Septarian nodule stands at the documentary's midpoint for a reason. It is the moment nature begins to contradict itself. An egg without a parent, a pattern without intention, a perfect accident that rewrites the logic of perfection. Ranked 4th, Rhodonite, Russia. It shines in tender pink, but its veins are black with scars. Born under crushing heat, polished by frost and labor. This is Rhodonite, the stone that bled to shine. Rhodonite is a manganese silicate formed in metamorphic environments where heat and pressure twist minerals into new identities. Its pink hue emerges from the oxidation of manganese, a chemical reaction both fragile and volatile. The black web-like veins that traverse its surface are manganese oxides, crystallized scars within the gem itself. In its best form, the stone looks like marble infused with blush, the pink bleeding through fractures like veins under skin. Its beauty is inseparable from its fractures. The pattern is the pain. Rhodonite's story begins in the Ural Mountains of Russia, where it was once called Orlitz, the eagle stone. Legend says eagles placed rhodonite in their nests to protect their young. By the 18th century, it became a national symbol, carved into columns, inlaid into palaces, even used to decorate the tomb of the czars. But behind each polished surface was the labor of men who chipped it from frost-bitten rock by hand. their tools breaking as often as their fingers. The imperial court saw only beauty. The miners saw survival. In metaphysical tradition, rhodonite is the stone of forgiveness. It is said to heal wounds of the heart, to teach compassion after conflict. But its true ritual runs deeper. It's the reconciliation of contrasts, tenderness formed in violence, elegance born from endurance. In modern museum installations, rhodonite's fractured patterns are often backlit, allowing the black veins to glow, a visual echo of its meaning, scars illuminated, not hidden. Rhodonite is mined not only in Russia, but also in Australia, Peru, and Madagascar. Yet the Russian specimens, dense pink with jet black webbing, remain the benchmark today. Carved obelisks and urns from the Ural quarries sit in the Hermitage Museum, polished to mirror the candlelight of centuries past. On the modern market, gem-quality cabochons are modestly priced, but museum-grade slabs command reverence rather than money. Collectors don't seek perfection, they seek evidence of survival, the artistry of fracture. Rhodonite defies logic because it teaches a paradox, that perfection can come from damage and pattern can bloom through pain. It is the only gem that carries its own scars as decoration, a monument not to what was flawless, but to what endured. Ranked third, Labradorite, gray until it moves, then it explodes into northern light. Every shift, a new color, a new reason to look again. This is Labradorite. The light that refused to leave Labradorite is a feldspar mineral, chemically ordinary, visually impossible. Its secret lies in its inner structure, microscopic layers of crystal, each only nanometers thick, stacked in perfect rhythm. When light enters, it doesn't bounce back simply. It interferes with itself, splitting into shifting colors that shimmer and slide beneath the surface. The phenomenon is called labradorescence, a natural optical illusion so delicate that one scratch, one wrong angle, erases it. Its pattern is not pigment but physics, an aurora trapped inside atomic architecture. Discovered by the Inuit centuries ago and named Firestone, Labradorite became legend long before it entered science. Myth says it was once part of the Northern Lights, struck to earth by a warrior's spear. When Europeans found it in the 18th century, they described it as a mirror to heaven. Throughout the Victorian era, it appeared in jewelry meant for dreamers. People fascinated by phenomena that couldn't be explained. Even now, cultures across the Arctic believe it connects the seen and unseen, the living sky and the silent stone beneath. In spiritual practice, Labradorite is the stone of transformation, of imagination unchained. Artists, shamans, and wanderers use it as a mirror for intuition, claiming that it awakens vision in the mind. But beyond belief, there's something tangible in how it behaves. It reveals beauty only in movement. The color exists only when you shift perspective. A lesson disguised as spectacle obsession comes naturally. It demands to be chased, angle after angle, as though the truth might finally appear in the next flash of light. Mined in Canada, Madagascar, and Finland, where its rare rainbow form is called spectrolite, Labradorite remains a paradox for the trade. Its worth depends less on clarity than on illusion, a flash that cannot be predicted. Dealers describe it like a living thing. It wakes when it wants to. In gem fairs from Tucson to Bangkok, crowds gather around a single polished slab, moving their phones, shifting lights, hunting the perfect blaze. For a moment, science becomes secondary. Fascination takes over. That is its market power. It hypnotizes. Labradorite defies logic not because of what it is, but because of what it does to us, a stone that never stays still, a secret that reveals itself only when you move. It turns every viewer into a seeker and every reflection into desire. Ranked second, fire agate, a flame trapped forever, glowing, unburning, alive. Beneath Arizona's deserts, volcanoes left their final breath. This is fire agate. Where beauty learns the cost of light, fire agate forms inside the cavities of ancient rhyolite lava. As hydrothermal waters carrying silica and iron oxide flowed through the rock, They layered thin films of limonite and goethite beneath translucent chalcedony. Each layer bent light differently, creating the iridescence that shimmers like embers. The process demanded both heat and pressure at their extremes, volcanic violence distilled into molecular art. To this day, each polished cabochon is a map of that violence, its pattern of flame the exact record of energy slowly dying into stillness. Native tribes of the Southwest revered these stones as desert stars, gifts from lightning that struck the ground. To miners of the 20th century, they were a curiosity at first, then a frenzy. By the 1970s, collectors had stripped entire hillsides in Arizona's Deer Creek and Slaughter Mountain, chasing brighter and deeper flashes. The land bears their scars still. Pits eroded, ecosystems disrupted. Fire agate became the emblem of a paradox. Mankind seeking light and wounding Earth to find it. Metaphysical circles call it a stone of protection, energy against fear, creativity through passion. But in older desert lore, it carried a warning. Fire once taken must be fed. Shamans used it sparingly, placing it under the midday sun to cool the anger of mountains. Whether superstition or wisdom, the meaning remains. Fire is not owned, only borrowed. Every gleam on fire agate's surface is the echo of that truth. Light that remembers the cost of being born. Today, most fire agate comes from small-scale claims in Arizona and northern Mexico. Because each piece is hand-carved to reveal its hidden iridescence, it resists mass production. Dealers describe cutting fire agate as sculpting flame. One wrong angle, and the color disappears forever. Prices vary wildly. The best stones with deep 3D fire can surpass fine opal. Yet the market has cooled, not from lack of desire, but from awareness. The hills are quieter now, the fire's dimmed, the lesson clear. Beauty mined too hard burns out its source. Fire agate defies logic because it burns without heat, shines without mercy, and reminds us that even light leaves ash behind. It is the consequence of wonder, the price of touching the sun. In first place, fire obsidian. At first it is only darkness. Then a flicker of color like memory returning. The volcano's last whisper, sealed inside glass. This is fire obsidian, the mirror that remembers fire. Unlike ordinary obsidian, which is pure volcanic glass, fire obsidian contains layers of magnetite nanoparticles trapped within its flow. As molten lava cooled too fast to crystallize, thin metallic films formed between sheets of silica, each reflecting light at different wavelengths. The result is iridescence, a phantom rainbow sealed in black. But this brilliance lives in razor-thin depth. Move too far, and it disappears. It exists only in the meeting between light and angle, a phenomenon balanced on absence. To polish it is an act of faith. A cutter must sense the fire he cannot see. In ancient Mesoamerica, obsidian was revered as divine mirror, a portal between worlds. Priests used it to gaze into darkness, seeking visions of time yet to come. The Aztecs called it Itztli, the stone of both creation and sacrifice. Modern collectors call fire obsidian the eye of the volcano, yet the metaphor feels incomplete. Its surface does not reflect faces. It erases them. To look into it is to see light surrender to shadow, to understand that color can exist only because of what contains it. Fire obsidian is the quiet aftermath of every gem that came before, the conclusion of nature's patterning. Where Boulder opal fought for light, this stone learned to rest in darkness. In metaphysical lore, it symbolizes transformation through stillness, fire tempered into wisdom. Those who hold it say it hums faintly when warmed by the hand, as though remembering heat, but its true ritual is silence. It asks for nothing, promises nothing, reveals only when you stop demanding. Found only in a few isolated volcanic flows of southern Oregon, fire obsidian is among the rarest of the obsidian family. It cannot be mass-produced. Each rough stone hides or loses its fire depending on how it is cut. When the light strikes correctly, it displays nested rainbows, colors within colors. A phenomenon no camera can truly record. Dealers describe it not by price but by reverence. To own one is to own a fragment of still volcano, the memory of eruption crystallized into peace. Fire obsidian defies logic because it is not made to dazzle. It is made to end a story. It holds light only long enough to remind us that everything luminous is born from darkness, and that every pattern, no matter how perfect, returns to silence. The screen fades to black. The narration softens, leaving only the echo of what the earth was trying to say. Not through words, but through pattern, through fire, through stillness. We began this journey searching for patterns, for logic hidden inside stone. Yet what we found was something else entirely: intention without intent. Design without designer, from volcanic fire to ancient forests, from shattered jasper to glass that remembers light. Each stone revealed a single truth: that the earth has never stopped creating. It simply works in timescales too vast for us to comprehend. Maybe these patterns were never meant to be understood. Maybe they exist to remind us that perfection was here long before we arrived, and will remain long after we are gone. If you felt wonder tonight, if you saw something that made you pause, let that silence stay a little longer. Leave a word, a thought, or simply stay curious, because the next pattern waiting to be revealed might not lie beneath the earth, but inside the way we see it. Thank you for watching. Until the next journey into the impossible beauty of nature, remember, the earth doesn't repeat.